Hollywood has always been the land of lights, fame, and flawless smiles, at least on the surface. But behind every red carpet and perfectly polished PR interview, there's another side to fame that rarely makes it into the headlines. While most stars keep their professionalism intact, others have earned a reputation that makes co-stars shudder and directors swear they'll never work with them again. These are 20 Hollywood icons who, despite all their talent, might not be the kind of people you'd want to meet off camera. That if this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. 20. Chevy Chase, the original comedy tyrant. In the comedy world, few names are as legendary or as infamous as Chevy Chase. On screen, he was the lovable buffoon from National Lampoon's Vacation and the quick-witted star of Saturday Night Live. Off-screen, however, Chase's temper and arrogance were the stuff of legend. Colleagues from SNL have recalled verbal tirades, fights, and condescending remarks that made working with him unbearable. One of his most public blow-ups was with co-star Bill Murray, a physical confrontation that reportedly ended with fists flying just minutes before a live show. Decades later, when Chase joined the cast of Community, the cycle repeated. His constant outbursts and racial slurs finally led to his departure. He's a reminder that being a genius in comedy doesn't mean you have to be cruel in real life. 19. Bruce Willis, the reluctant collaborator. Bruce Willis built a career on grit, charm, and smirking bravado. But according to directors, his tough guy persona didn't stop when the cameras cut. Filmmakers like Kevin Smith have spoken openly about how exhausting it was to work with him, describing him as soul-crushingly difficult. On set, Willis was allegedly dismissive of direction, quick to criticize, and hard to please. He often refused to rehearse scenes or interact with other actors. In later years, fans learned that some of his behavior may have stemmed from a struggle with aphasia, a condition that affects communication. Still, for much of his career, working with Bruce wasn't quite the blockbuster experience many hoped it would be. 18. Russell Crowe, the gladiator with a temper. Russell Crowe's on-screen intensity isn't just an act. Known for throwing phones at hotel staff and publicly feuding with producers, Crowe's temper has been as famous as his Oscar-winning talent. Crew members have described him as unpredictable, charming one moment, volcanic the next. Even when his performance earned him accolades, his outbursts overshadowed his brilliance. From altercations with journalists to screaming matches at award shows, Crowe's ego has often been his Achilles heel. Over the years, he's tried to mellow with age, but his reputation as one of Hollywood's most volatile leading men still lingers. 17. Katherine Heigl, from darling to difficult. When Katherine Heigl first burst onto the scene in Grey's Anatomy and Knocked Up, she was hailed as Hollywood's next big thing. But her rise to fame was followed by an even faster fall, and not because of bad acting. Heigl became notorious for her outspoken criticism of her own projects and coworkers. She publicly slammed Knocked Up as sexist and later withdrew from Emmy consideration because she felt her material wasn't good enough. Behind the scenes, insiders say she was demanding, dismissive of crew, and chronically late. It wasn't long before major studios stopped calling in a town that thrives on collaboration. Heigl's self-sabotage became a cautionary tale. Talent can open doors, but humility keeps them open. 16. Christian Bale, the perfectionist gone too far. When it comes to intensity, few actors rival Christian Bale. His commitment to roles is legendary, but so are his meltdowns. In 2009, audio leaked from the set of Terminator Salvation, capturing Bale screaming profanities at a crew member for walking into his sightline during a take. The rant lasted nearly 4 minutes and revealed the darker side of his obsession with perfection. To Bale's credit, he later apologized publicly, admitting he'd crossed a line. Still, the outburst became one of Hollywood's most infamous on-set moments, proof that even great artists can let their passion turn toxic. 15. Jared Leto, method acting or method madness. Jared Leto is one of those performers who disappears so completely into character that you sometimes wonder if he knows where the acting ends. But according to co-stars, his dedication can cross the line into chaos. During the filming of Suicide Squad, Leto reportedly sent his castmates disturbing gifts, including used condoms and a dead rat, all in the name of staying in character as the Joker. Some admired the commitment, others called it harassment. His antics sparked debates about whether method acting is a legitimate technique or just an excuse to behave badly. Either way, Leto's brand of intensity has made him one of Hollywood's most polarizing figures. 14. Gwyneth Paltrow, the queen of disconnect. Gwyneth Paltrow might exude elegance, but her off-screen persona often rubs people the wrong way. Her wellness empire, Goop, has been criticized for promoting pseudoscience and elitism, think $900 detox kits and spiritual jade eggs on set. Paltrow's reputation for aloofness and self-importance has followed her for years. Coworkers describe her as distant, and critics accuse her of being out of touch with reality. When asked about the struggles of working-class women, she once compared the hate she receives online to war trauma. Needless to say, it didn't go over well. 13. Edward Norton, the control freak. Edward Norton is one of the finest actors of his generation, but he's also infamous for taking control of every production he's involved in. Directors from American History X to The Incredible Hulk have complained about Norton rewriting scripts, demanding editing privileges, and battling studios over creative direction. His perfectionism and intellect, while admirable, often translated into friction on set. Marvel famously replaced him with Mark Ruffalo, citing Norton's collaborative difficulties. It's a reminder that even the most gifted artists can become their own worst enemy when they can't let go. 12. Val Kilmer, Hollywood's most complicated man. Val Kilmer's talent is undeniable. His performances in The Doors and Tombstone are still celebrated. But his behind-the-scenes behavior was so unpredictable that studios began avoiding him. Directors described him as moody, combative, and nearly impossible to direct. During the filming of The Island of Dr. Moreau, things got so bad that the original director was fired after constant clashes with Kilmer. Later in life, Kilmer faced throat cancer, which left him with a tracheostomy and changed his outlook dramatically. These days, he seems more reflective, but his earlier years earned him a permanent spot on Hollywood's most difficult list. 11. Mike Myers, comedy genius, control addict. Behind the goofy charm of Austin Powers and Wayne's World was a man obsessed with control. Former collaborators described Mike Myers as brilliant but domineering, rewriting scenes without consulting anyone, firing staff impulsively, and demanding perfection. Even the Shrek series wasn't immune. Animators recalled constant retakes because Myers kept changing his interpretation of the character's accent. One crew member described working with him as like walking on eggshells. It's proof that even comedy legends can take themselves a little too seriously. 10. Sean Penn, Hollywood's angry rebel. Sean Penn is a powerhouse actor with 2 Oscars and a long trail of controversies. His career has been overshadowed by violent outbursts, assaults, and political rants that have alienated friends and foes alike. Penn once served jail time for attacking a photographer, and his temper on set has frightened coworkers. His intensity gives his performances depth, but in real life, that same fire often turns destructive. Over time, Penn has shifted toward humanitarian work, but his legacy as one of Hollywood's angriest men remains. 9. Steven Seagal, from action hero to allegation magnet. In the 1990s, Steven Seagal was the face of stoic action heroes, but behind the sunglasses and martial arts moves lies a long list of accusations. Former co-stars and assistants have accused him of sexual misconduct, bullying, and verbal abuse. Directors say he was notorious for arriving late, refusing to take direction, and boasting about connections to law enforcement and the mob. Once the highest-paid action star in the world, Seagal's ego and off-screen behavior eventually exiled him from mainstream Hollywood. Today, he's more famous for controversies than movies. 8. Bruce Willis revisited the double-edged legacy. Even before his diagnosis became public, Willis's reputation for being unapproachable had grown. Co-stars admired his skill, but dreaded his coldness. In hindsight, knowing his medical condition, many have softened their view. Yet his legacy as both icon and enigma remains one of Hollywood's most complex. 7. Alec Baldwin, a time bomb with a microphone. Alec Baldwin's charm and charisma have carried him through decades in the spotlight, but his temper has nearly ended his career more than once. From public fights with paparazzi to infamous voicemails laced with profanity, Baldwin's anger issues are as well documented as his talent. The tragic shooting on the set of Rust only deepened the public's complicated relationship with him. While not all of Baldwin's controversies stem from cruelty, his inability to control his emotions has turned him into a walking PR nightmare. 6. Christian Slater, bad boy energy that went too far. In the 1990s, Christian Slater was Hollywood's rebellious heartthrob, but off-screen, his antics often overshadowed his acting. Arrests for drunk driving, assaults, and reckless behavior made headlines. Though he's since cleaned up his life and regained respect in shows like Mr. Robot, his early reputation as a Hollywood jerk was well earned. 5. Frank Sinatra, the crooner with a dark side. Frank Sinatra's smooth voice and effortless swagger made him one of the most beloved entertainers of the 20th century. But behind the charm was a man known for intimidation, mob connections, and a volcanic temper. Sinatra was famous for holding grudges and using his influence to destroy careers. When angered, he'd lash out at journalists, employees, and even friends. There were whispers of violence, and while much of it remains unproven, the fear he inspired was real. For all his talent, Sinatra's private life was a tangle of arrogance and volatility. Proof that even legends have shadows. Closing reflection. Fame doesn't just magnify your talent, it magnifies everything. In Hollywood, the same intensity that fuels creative genius can also ignite destruction. Many of these stars were brilliant, some were broken, and a few were both. Their stories remind us that charisma, beauty, and box office numbers can hide ugly truths. At the end of the day, Hollywood's real drama doesn't always unfold on screen. Sometimes it happens between takes in shouting matches, slammed doors, and egos too big for the spotlight.